waiting to get all ready for that. I'm Gesa van Wallenstein. I'm actually Ethelmark, but I was allowed to co-teach this class, and I think it's absolutely awesome to be together with you. So just different experience, different backgrounds, and we thought we use this really to share what we learned while we've been playing games for the last couple of years. I think it's 12 years for me.
I'm Captain CuMhara Holyhead, called Cope. I've been in the SCA since rocks were soft. I think I authorized in, I don't know, 93, 94, the first time on Cindy's horse, Ego, who's still the only stallion I've ever ridden. All right, just let us know when you're ready for us to share our screens. All right, and like I said, please go ahead and interrupt me, raise your hand. All right, can everybody see Sassy?
She's got a purple rider.
That's right, that is a Bushkaji goat that I made, and we're not going to talk too much about these goats, but I have a pattern that has so far been fairly indestructible that I would gladly share at a different time. Like I said, please feel free to keep your video on. I think a couple of things that we're going to really emphasize is that rules can vary by kingdom, and we have rules and we have conventions. And I want to make sure that folks are aware that just because we do it that way doesn't mean that's what's in the rule book. It's just what we're used to doing. And a lot of the conventions come out of historically this inter-kingdom equestrian competition that we had, where folks decided if we make all of the games identical, then we can compete in Eldermere and the Mid-Realm and Ethelmark and compare our scores. So that's where a lot of these conventions came from. And I like to tell people, you can be unconventional. I have a video starring Max that goes over a lot of the games. Let me see if, hopefully I can make this work. I am not the world's best. I think I have to stop share and then reshare. Give me just a second to play around with this. There we go. Come on, Max.
There you go.
Can everybody see Max?
Yeah.
All right, so this is Bushkaji. As you can see, we play around with a goat. There are different rules, but in general, you have two teams. You're trying to get the goat off of the team. The other team is trying to get the goat off of you. And then at some point, you're trying to get to a goal where you can drop the goat while people stop you.
Yeah, and sometimes you can see the goat flying. It like looks decapitated, so there's no more head on it, so it's a dead goat. And we always play it. Your team needs to pass it 3 times between the members before you can drop it off in the goal. And I always ride draft horses, and I never catch up with the little ponies. So my girls are always great to push people out of the play area. So I'm a good blocker and getting people disqualified by leaving the play area because I never can catch up.
This is a typical obstacle course that you might expect to see at an SCA game. So your horse might have to walk over weird things, be prepared for walking through the pool noodles. I believe she's going to pick up a flag. If you're going to take a horse to an SCA event, you should be working on some desensitization on these types of things and expect to see them. Max, of course, is, I don't know, he's a late teen, early 20 gelding. He's pretty confident and comfortable with stuff.
Yeah, making noise. He just picked up a bell. And those are some of those unconventional as well. And I always like when I go places to see new things, different items. We pick up somewhere else, you know, as well. And just some challenging for the horses and riders. And just have fun with that. That's normally my biggest thing. Just I really do have fun with you and your horse.
Yeah, most of the time people do these with some kind of timing. I like to do them with a reverse timing where you get the lowest score for doing the activity quickly and correctly, and then you have the lowest points, and then you add your timing into that. But everybody has something different.
To have it timed or a time limit can, if you have really slow riders in there, doesn't make it as long sometimes. But again, those are preferences. That's apple to apple.
This is a little bit hard to see, but
Yeah.
they are doing the rings. They're doing it at a walk. I like to do the rings at a canter, even though I miss a lot of times. Something that is very important is to understand that when you're catching the rings and you pick up your lance and the rings come down, make sure you catch them with your thumb. Do not let the rings go over your wrist and trap the lance to your wrist. I can't emphasize that enough. And here Max is demonstrating jumping while hitting the heads. I have to be very careful when I do this. I tend to reach over and put my horse off balance, and he hates that. Of course, we have driving archery so that other folks can participate. We don't have a lot of drivers in the SCA in the mid-realm, but I'm excited that we're going to have some more.
I think we're starting right now to get more. It becomes more popular.
Now we've got people like Kathleen who are really encouraging that.
Yeah, which is awesome.
Yeah, we love you, Kathleen.
Yeah, and this is pig sticking. We currently don't do it. It's like on hold right now because of the accident 2 years ago. So, but it's still in there. It used to be very common to have it done.
Yeah, I didn't want to miss the Bershka because this is the only video I have of it. So the Bershka, sticking it through there. It's much easier to do at a trot or a canter. I think it's interesting that she has a bench with a hole in it is what she's using to hold up her post. And here she's going through the heads. You can see her weaving through. Max, being a bigger horse, isn't real thrilled about the weaving right there. I think a lot of times our little quarter horses and Arabians have an easier time at some of these courses. But I could be prejudiced.
Yeah, because Maple is awesome on that, and she's definitely not a little quarter horse. She's a well-rounded Belgian.
As you can see, it's important that you can work your horse with one hand. So either working him off of the legs or the neck reining. Here, Max is going through the reeds. Traditionally, conventionally, our reeds are a set of 10, 8, 6, 4, and 2-inch reeds. This is tippet tag. So each of these folks has a red or white tippet hanging from their shoulders. And the goal, of course, is to steal all the opposing team's tippets. You can see having some flexibility with the horse, being able to move around, and having a horse that's comfortable being in a mix is very important. You can't come into this game if your horse doesn't like horses close to its butt, etc.
And those like Buchaski and the tip and tag, those are nice ones. If you're not authorized for gaming, some kingdoms have different authorizations and you don't have the gaming. I think you still can do that under riding authorization, at least in our kingdom in Ethelmark you can.
Right, in the mid-realm, if you're not carrying a weapon, it's considered general riding.
Riding. I think Atlantia and East Kingdom the same, but again, before you do something, make sure you check your kingdom's handbook and guidelines. And that's fun.
I'm going to just skip us ahead here a little bit. We have, along with driving with archery, we have driving with obstacles. It's the same as the obstacle courses that you see with the regular horses, except you're running with carriage. And Max is very good at this. I'm gonna just skip along a little bit. Because Max is perfect and doesn't make any mistakes. I don't know how to do that. Kathleen, you're gonna have to teach me how to do that.
What, the driving over the pole?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you just put it between his feet and your wheel.
Sounds so easy when you know what you're doing.
It is.
Yes.
Um, so I just recently learned about this thing where they're walking horses over the pole lengthwise, and the idea is the pole should go between your horse's feet,
Ooh, fun.
unless you have a narrow-legged horse. So
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Okay, and then the rest is just Max finishing up his obstacle course. You can see he's really good. Does anybody have any questions? I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing this screen. Thank you, Max. Then I'm going to go back and share the slideshow again. All right, we've covered some of these.
I think all of them were in there.
Yes.
Okay.
I wanted to also mention that you don't want to forget the unconventional games. When I'm trying to put together, if it's 4-H or SCA, I really try to focus on having some novice games that are safe for our riders who aren't very advanced. Kathleen gave me a bunch of it's easy for me to say, carpet squares, and we went ahead and made those into shields, and we played musical shields game. We have plastic beer steins that you fill them up and you don't spill it. Fill them up with water though, because if you fill them up with beer, you get beer all over you. I did this thing called Apple Lance. You can go to the video. Basically, I took the egg and spoon and I changed it to bamboo. I went and got bamboo because I'm cheap. And I put little coat hanger metal on the end and duct taped it down, and you put an apple in there, and then you hold the lance and you make people walk, trot, canter, turn around, do different things and make them hold up the apple. There's ribbon race, and a reminder that we could do the traditional games in different ways. You don't have to set up your heads with 4 heads and 2 ends and make people go in between. You can set the heads up in circles. You can put things intermittently. Just a reminder that, you know, we don't have to stick with one particular way to do it.
Yeah, they don't have to be linear. That's normally what I call it. I love to do them like half circles. Sometimes the reeds or heads are actually split up and have something else in between, same weapon. Or you need to put away the weapon and draw it again just for weapon handling. So again, just to have fun with it and see different skills levels. So do you mind if I continue real quick?
Please.
Okay, so this was one of my big, huge learning curve. I think all of you know me. I come from like jousting outside of SCA and then in SCA doing a lot of the games. So I needed to make equipment for meet for home for practicing and then to travel. And I realized a lot, really actually early, that a lot of arenas didn't want me to put any of my stakes into the ground, or it was so rock hard, there was no way you could put anything into the ground. So I really needed, I don't even know how many times I rebuilt my sets, because at home, I needed to see, I wanted to have it nice first, so I did try to do the wood or something, and I really was like, I need to have it weatherproofed. And if it's outside, the weight or the storage issues, you know, how much do I have room to storage, and how many people do I have to set it up? So one of the things really was like, if it's able to stay outside, I just really started to use PVC, plastic, or really weatherproof stuff that I did not need to worry about having it undercover or redoing it every year or painting it because of being outside for the weather. And most of the time I'm by myself. So everything I needed to move in or out that couldn't stay out needed to be lightweight because I didn't want that workout of carrying everything. And I did not have my own place until recently. So I only had a small little storage corner. I needed to be able to stack things without taking up half of the barn with all of my equipment. And so I really needed to make it lightweight, easy to storage or to stack, and just really easy for one person to set up without spending a lot of time on it. And the other really was like, if you think you're making games and you are one of those persons who wants to put up games in any of the events, so you might travel with that. Transportation, to store it in your horse trailer. I see some people who need to do 2-3 trips with their pickup trucks to get all the equipment down because it's not foldable, especially if you do stanchions with great feet. But either you have a lot of assembling when you get there, and if you don't have a crew that puts things together for you, it's very time consuming, or you need to have 2 or 3 trips with a pickup truck. So, and I just saw a chat coming in, but I didn't have time to read it. And then for the travel, the appearance. So if I just have practice at my house, I don't care as much how it looks like. If I am out, I'm trying to have it at least look period.
Okay, the comment that we have is if you use PVC, you need to paint it. UV light makes it break and brittle and sharp edges.
So I started with the white ones, and then I went over to those black PVC pipes. They're not as sensitive, they're stronger, because I am actually using them for stanchions for jousting as well. And yes, I did. So my colors are the black and yellow, which makes it nice to have black pipes. And I just need to put the yellow stripe on it. So, and yeah, so, but again, what I use at home and what I try then to be out for shows and for public, it looks a lot different. But you're completely right. The white PVC looks really cheap, and it doesn't last as long. Okay. But that was basically for me. And I think from now on, we really have, so if it's your place at home and you know what your ground you have, it's easy to build for that ground, regardless if you can leave it out or not. Because if you have grass, pasture, any kind of soft ground with any kind of hard base underneath, like soft topsoil, and you just can go and stick stuff into the ground. If it's T-post, white post, it's totally different as if you have a solid hard ground or anything that will not support any into the ground sticks. Then you can build it for your place. But again, if you do need to travel and have other places, that also can be then different of what you can go and use as a base for it. So depending on what ground you're preparing your games for, I would really consider of what ground, besides the ground, and maybe thinking almost SCA might be outside and that would be fine. Also, and I don't have many issues with the SCA time to set up. Sometimes if you have not into the ground, just on top of the ground, game bases, it's faster to set up. That might be something else to consider. And again, depending on how many people you have to help with. Want to move on? So these are great pictures, and it actually comes in my pictures together. So you have the cursor. So if you can, on the other left picture, these are typical fence posts. You can just step into the ground And I have white ones, but same thing, only different color. And then she has two on the second picture where I call them hole in the ground. It's basically just it's the same as the other picture. It's just like a rock with loops on it, and you step it into the ground. And we get into the Christmas dance in a second slide. So hold on the Christmas dance. And on the second picture, I also want to post, because I don't think we have it later on. You see the other white post, and that has a cement base on it, which is easy to do. So the pictures on the right just basically show you the step in, or the hole in the ground. And this then basically just to have a PVC pipe inside of it. And I think the next one, and this is obviously for softer ground to step in. And then one of those posts, it's easy to set up. If you have some decent shoes, not really flip-flops, and you shouldn't have flip-flops with horses, but it's theoretically easy to put on. One of the issues is if you don't have a soft, deep ground, and you don't get the stick really nice and deep, it will not stay straight, especially with a heavier top. After a couple of runs, you have those leaning from Pisa kind of tower sitting there. And depending what top you have, if they're not straight, your target might fall off continuously as well. So that's one of the cons that you might face in them. And actually those step-ins are really inexpensive. And here we have our Christmas tree stands. So I like the Christmas tree stands. Yes, we get them after Christmas. We don't pay $10 for them. You get them 75% off after Christmas. You just need to look. Thrift stores are normally great for that. So they're really great for any kind of on top basis. For me specifically, I don't like the Christmas tree stands for the tiny pipes, or if you just have that 1 inch, 1.5 inch pole, then you need to screw up really a lot to get them straight. So with the Christmas tree stands, they come in different sizes, so you can really adjust it. It's easy to weigh them down. You can fill it up with water, with sand. Some people have socks with sand and just put it into the slits. I actually have weights from the gym I carry with me specifically to weigh down my Christmas trees. And my gym weights I have fit exactly into the gaps from those screws. And then I just have a nice, easy weighed down Christmas tree stand. And that's basically very similar to what we've seen in the other slide with that cement base. So, and oh yeah, here we have the cement base actually all the way on the right. So I'm a cheapskate. I don't like to spend any money. One day I saw those gym weights, those power lift weights, and there was like 2 buckets of those. Somebody was throwing them away with the trash. Obviously I collected them. So I didn't pay for anything for them. He just got rid of it. They are awesome because they're easy to stack. They're easy to carry. You just put them where you want them and put your pole in it. And that's it. And they're heavy, they're weight, they're flat, and they're easy to cover up. If you need to make them disappear to make them look more period, or I have some I just spray painted black so you don't exactly see what you have there. So this is my easy way to that cement pour with a hole in the middle. And I have them in all kinds of sizes. And if it's something that is more heavy on top, I stack 2 or 3 on top of it. And that 1.5 inches are perfect rods to put in the center of it. So some for the heavier ones, I do have like 2 or 3 on top of each other.
Now on the far right, these are Quickcrete cement discs that my husband made for me, and you just put the PVC cap in there as it's setting up, and then you can just drop your PVC tubes in when you're at the event. Gwendolyn has these, and her husband put some, or she may have made, whoever made them, put straps into the cement while it was setting up. So she has straps that she can pick up and carry them around a little bit easier. And I think that's nice.
Yeah.
And Quickre's not overly expensive.
So, okay, cool. I think the
Yep.
next one was Christmas tree stands again.
Okay. Shall we keep going?
Yeah, keep going. Yeah, I'm fine.
All right.
So this is my learning curve. Some things I learned. Can you go back to the Christmas tree stands? If it's working backwards.
One more?
Yeah, no, that's perfect. Awesome. So if you look at that picture all the way on the left, I actually have stakes. So should there be the availability, I still can stake them down. I have stakes. No, go back to the Christmas tree place. Sorry. So I have, for most of my Christmas trees, I can stake them down if they have to be. Can you go one more to the Christmas trees? Yeah, stay there real quick if you don't mind. Thank you.
This
So
one?
on this, I didn't hear you.
Is this the right slide?
Yeah, awesome.
Okay.
Thank you. Awesome. No. Is it just jumping for you?
Maybe
Too
I'm a little
oval.
bit. You want this one with the 4 Christmas tree stands,
Yes.
correct? Okay. That's
And
the
I
one
could-
that's on my computer.
It's all on your computer. It's all you.
So could everybody else see 4 Christmas tree stands?
Yes.
Awesome.
Okay.
Okay. So what I learned, because a lot of times I have to set up fast, I screw down, it's actually for the PVC pipes, the filter you can buy for drainage pipes, and I screwed them on the bottom of my Christmas tree stands to have a straight, it's easier for me to get the pipe in it straight and solid. So I just basically need to attach it. On the third one, you see the pipe inside of that attachment, that filter. And then I don't need to play around with the screws until it's all the way straight. And it gives it a more stability for that. I hope that made sense. And then just the other one, for my reeds, actually, one year I got those 4 together Christmas tree stands, and my reeds are all on 1-inch poles. So they were perfect for my reeds because I just need to open them up and they're all in there. So this is just what I have, but you obviously can use them for any kind of games you have thinner poles, because the Christmas trees, again, I don't like them for anything thinner than the 2-inch pipes. I have 2-inch and 4-inch pipes I'm using them for. Otherwise, I just don't think they are stable enough for the pole. But that's my personal preference for that. And it's really common. I think I see a lot of Christmas tree stands in the SCA. Any questions so far? Okay.
All right.
Do you want me to continue or you want to take over?
I guess I could take over. I'm a big fan of these step-in posts, but I live in Kentucky where the ground tends to be pretty soft and it's easy to do. You can see that we can slip the PVC pipe just right over the post. I get these in bundles. If you buy a bundle of 10, they're like $3.50 a piece. So it's not overly expensive to go ahead and create a set of reeds or a set of heads.
And same concept on the other side. So I have those 2-inch pipe probably sitting in a Christmas tree right now. And then when I have games that is on a 1-inch pole, I just put mine inside of that for really fast changing of games. So if I need to go and just change things up, that is just an easy way. And that is just like a 2-inch pipe with a top on it, and that has the magnet basically cemented inside of it. The silver part on top, it's a heavy duty magnet for any kinds of games with heads with magnets on it. I think we talk later about it.
Just as
So
a
it goes
side
both-
note. I'm sorry, just as a side note, you can also use those really nice in your obstacles. Like if you're creating a gate or something, those step-in posts make lovely gates. You can just pop your PCV pipe over top of them and put a hook on one and you've got a gate.
That's great. Yeah, I love it. Thanks, Kathleen.
Heads. Heads are interesting. I know we love these big mannequin heads, like you can see on the top left, but they're very
for
heavy.
me, this like, okay, now it changed.
Okay. We'll get there. Technology's hard for me. There's a balance between, if you have it too light, like these styrofoam heads, they just get blown off. But if you have it too heavy, then when you hit it, the force of the weight of the head will pull your posts over. This is actually my favorite. This is just baling twine wrapped around itself and then thrown with some duct tape. And I put some cloth over this just to make it fancy. But it's got a nice weight to it without being too heavy. I don't like Velcro. Velcro just makes a mess. So I do not recommend Velcro. I have these, I like these bases that I get at, these just pop off. And now I've got a flat base and it's pretty nice. They're like $3.79 or so at Lowe's. And of course you can make fun things. You don't have to stick with heads. Gesa can tell us about this. What is this dragon doing?
So I love to make, if you ever did any of my challenges, most of mine are theme based. I always need to rescue a queen, a duchess, somebody needs to play my damsel in distress. Actually, last year would have been the husband in distress because we saved our baroness too many times. She was flirting too much with the dragon, and she always was disappearing from when her husband did a search party. So the rider needed to go into the dragon's den. So he needed to pass the cave, kill dad first, then killed mom, and then to make sure the dragons are no longer existing, needed to kill the babies. And that basically are my baby dragons. And it was set up as the reeds normally would. I think maybe even their heads would be. So I don't know if you can see that. That is actually just a regular office magnet. And I just made a hole in the tennis ball and glued it on it. And then the dragon is glued onto the tennis ball. So you need, and on this one, you need to hit the tennis ball precisely or it would not come off. If you just hit it, the dragon, it was too soft. So it was really precision. So if you do any game, so I do that sometimes then in the fall and have ghosts or plastic skulls or pumpkins or whatever you want. And I buy a lot of those different magnets. I don't know if you can see those. Huh? I make sure they have a hole inside of it. If you go and just Google magnets and you see like even the heavy duty magnet, they all have holes so I can screw them down. They normally just with a washer, or I use, so for the white ones, I have great stuff inside of it. And then I just cleaned it up. And even in the styrofoam head, I made a hole and attached the magnets, embedded it, and have great stuff. Looks the best for me with all of the brittle material. So, so for me, whenever you do go for magnets, my recommendation would be make sure you have a hole inside of it. But yeah, be creative. Again, have fun with that. So.
Here we have the reeds. As I said, the conventional setup is 5 pairs put offset, and your reeds go from 10 inches down to 2 inches. Again, I don't recommend attaching them with Velcro. If you use strong magnets, let's see if I can pull this off without knocking everything down. This is an example of where I have two really strong magnets. Woo. So it's pretty happy. Do yourself a huge favor and attach them with clips, because if you tie this reed to this post and then you try to take these to an event, this is going to make a mess. You will love me and thank me later when you have clips on it. I think we've covered everything on that. I wanted to bring this up because this picture was darker than I wanted it to be. The rings. Gesa, you want to tell us about your rings?
So I have different rings. And I actually wanted to go and bring, so I have different sizes. I normally start with 4 or 5 inch rings and then go down to 2 inch rings for precision. And any kind of rings, metal rings. And so for me, for practice, I normally have like metal rings. But for shows, for the audience to see or for the judges to see, embroidering hoop, that's just a really big one I have right now. I normally like them and I glue the ribbons on it. So for me, again, I'm coming from a different background. Most rings you see in the SCA are expanded from T-post, as you've seen in the first video. You always need to go and, or they're hanging up high, you need to aim up high. Mine are almost like, well, for my horse's back level. So that is for most horses head level. I'm not sure exactly how tall my stanchions are. I should have measured it. But for me, most of my stanchions, you see that cut out. I a lot of times have a rope in there for the jousting list. And then when we use it for games, I just put the embroidering hook inside of it where the knot is. It places really nice. So for me, when I do rings, it is basically, it's a little bit low almost for hitting, for jousting, but it's a little bit different technique, but it's the beginning of really to be a good timing and precision on how you hold your lance and then get it. For me as a jouster, and that's really for any kind of games we do, depends really on what is your goal, what are you practicing for. You just, not just, if you're going for the games and you enjoy the games, then maybe continuing technique might not be as difficult. For me as a jouster, I always want to teach after you hit, pull your lance a little bit up, because we don't want to hit and drop and then hit the ass of the opponent's horse. So some of the rings, when they are suspended from the top, you need to pull down a little bit. For me as a jouster, that's not what I want, because you never want to go low on your opponent. So for me, for the technique, it's always getting the ring and then always a little bit up afterwards, or you follow through on the same length. And I think, and we mentioned it earlier, and basically one of the big things is, and I don't know if you can see, so when you catch, most people with a ring lance have like the finger, whoops, on the pole, like this to aim, depending on how you ride. But if the ring comes down, make sure it's not, you can't really see, maybe you can do this, just a big one. Make sure it does not go over your wrist, because if you need to let go of your lance, you can't. You will be trapped, especially if you're caught 3, 4, 5 rings. You can't move. So I always have, when the ring comes down, catch it. I catch it with my fingers, not with my thumb. It's just how I hold it. But whatever you do, make sure it does not go over your wrist, because you will break fingers, wrist, or arms, or get really, really hurt. And practice that every single time when you come and catch it, so it's not locking you up. That would be my biggest safety concern. And again, it really depends what you're practicing for. For me, when I go and normally teach, I try to train people for potentially becoming jousters. So for me, pulling up after impact is my preference.
Yeah, this is an example of what we expect to see in the SCA. And I have 2 different rings here. One of them is connected by Velcro. Again, I don't like the Velcro because there's too much variation and you can pull things over. The second one here is just a hoop that's attached with a magnet, and that tends to work fairly well. But as Gesa said, if you're coming in with these types of rings, you tend to snap down to get that pull on it. And I use the thumb catch. I just wanted to make sure that we emphasize that for safety. I love these. These are
Can I
spinners.
go real quick?
Yes.
I don't know. So something else, these are, I just found them in my basement today again. These are like those regular curtain things. They have this little clip on the side. I actually have them sometimes out. If you just have like a finishing nail in your wood, they pull out really easily. Or sometimes I just did paper clip in the wood. Something just snags it. And this clip is just really, really tiny. I don't know if you really can see that. It's like a tiny little thing. And these are thrift store awesomeness. I don't know how many you get for $1 or less. And they look kind of nice, you know. And again, these are like, you get a bunch of them for nothing because you will lose them eventually. But these come off really easy. And the other thing, your ground crew will love you if it's easy to be resetting, especially if you have more than like timed event and they can do more than once that same obstacle. If it takes a long time for whatever to put back in place, nice and easy is always good. Thank you. I'm sorry. That was, I thought about it earlier today. I didn't tell you. I apologize.
No, I had a blacksmith make me these spinners, which are set up like rings, but instead of snapping down, you just hit them like you're jousting and they reset. So I like them because they're pretty easy to deal with.
So literally, I'm sorry we don't have this. I've seen her using them and those are actually really awesome because yeah, she just hits it. They spin around. It looks really, really cool. And they're always back to resetting. So it's the ground crew will love you for those ones too.
And I'm almost always by myself when I'm doing stuff, so it's nice to not have to reset things all the time. Yeah. Berja, we saw Max doing Berja. Basically, you need a ring and a stick. And I always just use an iron metal coat hanger, as you can see in this picture on the right, and I just stick it in the post there. Quintains. I should have made the background on this better. Sorry about that. So I have a picture here. If you look on the left, this is up my wooden quintain. They look marvelous. And when you hit those wooden quintains, thump, and you get the big swing and it feels great. It takes 3 people to put this puppy up. It takes my flatbed trailer to move this little thing. So I'm not a huge fan of the big wooden quintain. This also has a really large target area, as you can see. And for me to go from jousting to learn how to joust, I don't want to be focused on a big target. I want to focus on a little target. So that's why I really love my spinner quintain. Again, a local blacksmith made these for me, and it's just got the step in post, pound in post more like, but it just spins around and it's much, much easier. I can take this anywhere. So I really like this. Any questions? Oh, look, we're to the questions section. We're perfect.
Okay, I have a question for you.
Yep.
On the magnets, how big of a magnet are you using on the rings? Do you got any idea?
The magnet I have in the picture back there, if I can go back to it real fast. Oops. Stop. That magnet is probably ½ an inch.
Okay, so you're using this. Okay. Okay, I see what you're doing.
The magnet is underneath the tape.
I recently found some video and such of the sleigh ring jousting, and I would like to do that, but I'm not sure, particularly with the cold. I don't think the magnet will be affected at all by the cold, but would like to do that. I got to get it up. So
I never had issues here with the cold and the magnets. I don't think you should have any issues unless they get in the snow, waterway, and ice in between. Then you might have issues. But that
Good
would
to
be
know.
the same with Velcro. So for me, I don't like any of that with Velcro, because if you have a sandy and wood chip kind of area you're riding in, you never get that stuff out of the Velcro. It's going to be horrible to maintain. But I never had issues with magnets.
Thank you.
And if you do think you might have issues or the magnets, so some of my really strong industrial, so I have those heavy duty magnets and they're really strong. And so I made sometimes, and you can sew, so just like a little bag around it. So you have some fabric or so in between. So if you can't get them away from with your hands, you can pull at the fabric and then you get them easier apart. So this is not as strong, but the ones I have inside of my poles, they're heavy duty, really strong ones. And I need something else from the top magnet in between actually to pull them apart. So you really need to hit them.
I thought about putting fabric around them, getting a stronger magnet, putting fabric around it so that when they do come apart, if they fall in the snow, I could find them again. Because
Yeah.
I think that you could, particularly because with the sleigh, you do have some metal on the runners. I don't want to get my, magnet stuck to my runner and then can't find it.
So, and I don't know, because you're probably using it different. I would say try your best with different ribbons, so that if you have any magnets again with holes, because with heavier ribbons, like nylons even, they're not fringing out on you. You can pull them apart. You can clip the magnets together and you will find them easier on your equipment or in the snow.
Yeah, on the last slide, we have a link to the rare earth magnets. When I was playing with these, they would pinch me. I mean, they're very powerful. So you have to pay attention to how thick they are. And if you get one that's too thick and too big, they stick together, and literally I could not get some of them apart.
Yeah,
And
that was what my first trial happened. It was a little too strong of a magnet.
Yeah, and I remember actually hurting myself trying to take a knife to get them apart again because they were so strong, stuck together. That's actually when, and I have some, I think one of those Chinese websites, I got little mini bags. Actually, I thought they're like bigger bags, but they turned out to be really, really tiny, but they're perfect size for those magnets. And that was my cheap way out. But while we have the resources up, greatdragon.org is Terrafan's webpage. It's still up. I don't know if the Vaser is maintaining it, but you still can access it. I always liked his quintain he traveled with, because that was a quintain that was folding together like those green little Christmas trees. You can fold that together. You just unfold it, put stakes in it, and it was one person setup, easy to carry, and it fit into his little car. So it was amazing, that construction. One of these days I'll build one. But his website is still really great with some of the equipment he used in games up there. So it's worthwhile. If you have not checked it out, it's a good website to check out. Anything else otherwise?
I had a question about the rings. So in period, were they hanging them with threads, and then with the lance, when you pulled the ring, it would break the thread? Is that how they did it back then?
I have no idea.
I was just curious.
So
I can actually do a little bit of research on that topic. So
There's someone else did some research and found a one period design that basically was cotter pins that you drilled holes into the crossbar and used cotter pins and had them but spread out, and had the ring just fit into the cotter pin and squeeze it into the hole. And there was enough friction to hold it in there, but you were able to pull it out. Again, you do run into that same problem of to help pull it out, you are going to probably be dropping your lance. So it's not the best design, but that was at least one period method.
I don't,
I think
when I was
Switzerland
doing
has
rings,
that.
when we did
Sorry.
rings that pulled down on Velcro, I didn't find there was too much dropping. Like if there's any dropping, it's a tiny fraction, because your forward momentum will pull the ring off. You don't have to drop your lance to pull it down, because we had Velcro, we had sort of a cotter pin method, and ones that we did have ones that actually were on the stanchions and on hooks, so you did have to lift them off the hook as you went. If like if the ring, I can't make a ring. If the ring, it was on a hook, this is looking dirty, but you had to like lift the ring off as you went by, kind of. But all of those motions were very minimal with your lance, because you're going and the friction and the speed takes it with you. So
I may have used really strong Velcro, because mine, when I would be going the Velcro, and I made a big cement base that it's still sitting in my backyard. I can't move it. My grandson poured it for me, and I can't, so I'm coming along with the Velcro, and when I hit it, the whole thing comes over every time.
Or I twist it. I had a lot of times. So if it's too strong, I seen it twist, or anything else as well. So yeah, I think I tried it once with a T-post. I had one set up, but I normally don't use mine. But again, a lot of things are also personal preference. What works for you best. It's great to play around with other things. And this is just like, this is basic. So I have different games additional for that. But, and that's more, I think, from the Western riders. I have a water bed with an insert on top that has holes. So when you come walk through it, that board goes down and the water squirts up. So I call it my little volcano. And that's like part of it. Or you have the little bridge or a cedar saw to go and walk over it. And there's so many different things you can do. So this is just a basic little introductions, how to make things, and you can alter it and make it all more fun. Like Kathleen, I like her gate idea. Or just use those tops like tables, and you need to deliver a cup of tea from one place to the next.
Yeah, and
so there's so many different things.
do we do and I'm sure we do it. Do we talk about the Spanish pole?
We did not talk about it.
Not in here.
That I like
We
that,
just-
and I also we did that steel challenge at SCA 50th. I love
Cut and
the
thrust?
steel
No, what
challenge.
is this? Yeah, the steel cut.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with that
cut
one.
and thrust. Mhm.
Yeah.
Do you want to stop sharing? Then we can see everybody. I'm sorry, I'm so bossy. Oh, look how many people we have now. Now we can see everybody. That's awesome.
Good to see everyone.
Hope, what
Yeah.
was the name of the, I don't know if it was a competition or just a display that I think they did at Mid-Realm. Was it 50? I don't even know. Where they
20,
basically, I think it
Mid-Realm
was like
20.
I think it was like a dressage test kind of thing that they
Oh,
did.
Riding
Like
in front of the prince.
yeah. I had never like seen that. I'm fascinated. I want to know
Yeah.
more.
So,
Jennifer
and-
has, go ahead.
Yeah, there's some great, if you're familiar with the website from Jennifer, Bridget, she has great references there. And if you ever PM her on Facebook, she will go through that. I will more than willing to help with anything I know. So that's one, jousting and riding in front of the prince is like one of the main things I do. I suck at games. I'll just do it because you're supposed to have skills.
Jennifer has a Ride Before the Prince video in the Royal University of Mid-Realm Library on YouTube. So you can go check that out.
There's also quite a few samples, I would say, in the Golf War, Facebook page.
Yeah.
So is that judged or is it performance based exhibition?
So no, in general, we have 3 different judges. They judge the performance. There's historical references, what the masters used to use for training their horses to show off different skills. And you put up a pattern based on some regulations. Some people have like 5 minutes or minimum of 3 patterns. And those patterns are the historical documented patterns. And then I try to have 3 different judges look at it, coming up with a score, and then the best score wins, if that makes sense. But you can use the pattern that fits you best.
I was gonna say 2 judges are judging like the horse and rider, and then kind of somewhat traditionally, the 3rd judge is a non-horse person who is judging the overall appearance and how pleasing it is to the prince.
Yeah. And I really like it, so I modified it because Ethelmark sometimes doesn't have as many strong riders and more new to the equine world. I like to use that everybody can participate. You don't need to canter around in circles and be the greatest horse person. And a lot of times when I put the riding in front of the prince out, I use it as a theme. You want to be hired by the royal family. You need to show off your skills, your best skill as a trainer, horse person, as well as the best skill your horse has. If your horse stands for 10 minutes and it's perfect and doesn't move, and the queen is older and she needs to have a pony to watch the parade from, and the pony shouldn't move, go for it. You walk in a circle, work out, do something, and then you have standing, maybe a reverse, and you're good. Do what you just have fun with it, and just really be that harmonic team of horse and rider, and do whatever you can, what you feel comfortable and safe doing, and look awesome doing it, And I really like it for that, because a lot of people who don't have all the abilities or don't have the horse that can perform a lot of that stuff still can participate in it.
Well, in going on that theme, if you are at the walk level, if you are doing a walk and you do everything perfectly, you can score well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to lose you guys. I'll talk to you later.
Okay.
Bye, it's good to see you.
And one of the other things really documented. So riding in front of the prince, half of it is documentation. Do some research. If you want to do bareback, which is normally not really what riding in front of the prince would be, but if this is your persona and you can document it, that your performance is bareback because out of those reasons, then you can do it. But normally it's, again, half of it is documentation. I don't know, that probably was too much about riding in front of the prince.
Oh, Brian Dale's name coordinator, NFL coordinator.
Do you have a question?
Kelsey's gonna be the guy.
Oh, nope, she's on mute now.
Okay. Because
Well, we
I
are
just
at
not talking.
Yeah, we are at 8 o'clock.
Yes.
I just had a little comment.
Yeah,
For your stabbing the boar, we did something similar but a lot safer in one of our games days. So it was actually, or you could probably do it with magnets, it was just a stick with a flat end on it, and then we took a dog toy that squeaks, and then so it was Velcro on the stick and Velcro on the dog. So then we just sort of cantered up, and then it was really fun because it squeaked when you got it, like you had to really push on it. and then there's no pointy ends or anything. There's nothing sharp or anything safety wise. So I don't know, might be an interesting game.
Alternative. I love
And
that idea.
When I did this with my 4-H kids, I didn't want them putting nails or anything metal down by the horse's legs. So we took broomsticks and we put cardboard spear tips. We made cardboard spear tips with Velcro. And then I took socks and I made them into pigs and put Velcro on their backs. And that's what we did for pig sticking.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. I went to the thrift store and got inexpensive cuddle animals too, and then did the same thing. But I didn't make it all by myself. I just got already stuffed animals. I love thrift stores. I get a lot of stuff from there, so.
Yeah.
But that's a great suggestion. I love it.
Yeah, we're going over time. I don't want to be rude. I want to be respectful, folks. Yeah. but I miss everybody, so it's great to see you all.
Yeah, it's awesome. And if you have maybe suggestions, or maybe something else you would like to do, if you think that was great to hear, or you want more details, let us know. Again, there's so much knowledge out here and everybody has different ideas. I love to make a information pool and just share with what we do and what we know until we get back together. And thanks for letting me come and crash the party.